Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Drawing Pretty Boytober. I was successful in drawing the first 10 days and I have been in fact again successful in drawing the second 10 days, which is from day 11 to day 20 that you are going to see in this video. So let's start. So starting off with number 11, which was bandana, I thought a little bit about it and I thought that I could draw an artist because somehow my mind just goes from bandana to artist immediately. I also thought about the previous drawing in the previous episode, which was eye patch, and I was like, man, if I drew him for bandana that would have been also good, but I didn't know that there was a bandana. So yes, here's bandana. He's like a little artist that I like. He's kind of thinking about what to draw next, and he has his paintbrush on his hand. He's kind of delicately holding it. I really like it. And I also wanted to make a profile. The next one is number 12, extra eye. Now for extra eye, I didn't really have some like OC or stuff to draw with 3 eyes, but I did have an OC with 4 eyes that you may have already seen if you follow me on Instagram. And he's kind of like a messenger that has like a mushroom hat, and he has 4 eyes because he can see and hear everything. And he kind of sends messages from kind of like one kingdom to another. So I drew him, and the blushing was a little bit hard. I was like, wait, where am I supposed to put the blushing? But at the end I got it right, and he looks a little bit pale. He may need to see the sun a little bit more often. Number 13 was scar or scars. Now for this one I had to draw Marcus, but I already drew him and I was just thinking about it, so I just went on Pinterest and searched for scars. And I found this guy. He looks a little bit scary in my drawing and in the picture, but I consider him a pretty man, so he shall be in Pretty Boytober. Don't judge me. And I really liked that he looked kind of like a bad person, but not really. And also the scar and the fact that I didn't have to draw a pupil on the other eye was great. And also his hair, I really like his hair and how he's kind of like black, then pink and magenta, and his red eye. I really like that. Number 14 was animal ears, and I was thinking about it, and I thought, what about a cat? And then I thought more thoroughly, and I was like, what about a cow? So I kind of drew a cowboy, but a boy that is a cow, not a cowboy from the ones from the movies. And I must admit that he turned out the prettiest out of all. Like, he looks the prettiest, but the drawing didn't turn out the best out of all. But he's a pretty boy, and he's a cow as well, and he has animal ears and horns. I really like those horns though. And the little bell on his neck. Quite a good idea. For number 15 we have face paint. Now for this one I had absolutely no idea. So I searched on my good friend Pinterest and I found out this picture that you will be seeing on the right. And I just basically copied it. I made him look a little bit younger, which I don't know why or how, it wasn't intentional. But I made him look younger. And at first I thought that because it gave me this style of like Van Gogh, I wanted to make it kind of like the face paint is a painting of Van Gogh, with the oranges, blues, yellows, and really dark blue of his hair, but it didn't turn out. So I just went, you will see it later, I just went with blue. Now here I'm kind of like trying different, and then I stuck with blue. Number 16 is crown. Now as you can see in the sketch I did his head really really big, so I had to make it smaller. Like that. And for crown I thought about, royalty and all that stuff, but then I was like, let's keep that for later. I didn't have time to, like read all of the things that I had to do, but I thought that there would be something more appropriate for a king. So I went with this little reference of Han Ji-sun that you can see from Stray Kids, holding this rose and this crown on his head, and I was like, this is perfect. I draw delicate men for a living, so this is quite perfect. So I drew the rose. That doesn't really look like a rose, so I'm sorry. And I made him with his hair and all of that, and I really like how he turned out. There you can see I'm adding an eyebrow and an eye because it was really empty. Number 17 was fangs. So for fangs I had this really great idea because I thought about vampires and I thought about Dracula. Then I remembered that Johnny Depp acted as Dracula in a movie, I believe it was. So I wanted to draw kind of like young Johnny Depp being a vampire, which was actually a good idea. But the colors are not great on this drawing, I must admit that I don't like the colors. I tried to make him pale, I also tried to make his clothes pale, and they kind of mix up, and then the hair is just all over the place. And the background as well a little bit. But I think he looks decent. Not good, but decent. The sketch was really good, the line art was good, but the colors weren't it. Number 18 was cape. I must admit that I didn't do the main focus of attention, the cape, but I did draw a cape. Now I wanted to kind of give him like a more fantasy look, a little bit more. So he's holding a sword, he looks like some kind of king, he's a redhead somehow, I don't know how that happened. His cape is red, he has orange hair, then green t-shirt or something, and the colors weren't it as well for this drawing. I don't know what happened, like I don't know what went through my mind with these two drawings, but the colors weren't working for me this day. Number 19 was helmet, and after a lot of a big consideration and keeping in mind the previous drawing, I wanted to draw again some fantasy stuff. So I drew a knight or knight with a helmet. Now this is pretty straightforward, it's just a knight with a sword and his pieces of armor and all that stuff, and there you can see the reference, which was actually a girl. So I had to kind of like work the shapes into a more manly figure. And also I don't really like how his skin turned out. Not right now, but later you will see that it becomes much darker and I shouldn't have done that. And here I'm just editing some colors, trying to see what looks best, and here you can see the dark skin. It's way too dark. He doesn't look alive. And for number 20 we have scales. Now for this one I thought about making kind of like a boy with aquarium on his head and he's underwater, and the fishes are kind of like the scale part. But then I was like, what if we draw a mermaid with scales, obviously, that you will see later. So what if we drew a mermaid? Now I really like his hair. He looks a little bit like Sonic somehow in my mind because of that hair and the fact that he's blue. But I really like it. He looks kind of like a pretty guy, obviously, because it's pretty boytober. He looks pretty and he looks nice and really mermaidy, and he has scales. See them? They exist! And now to end this video we will see the final results.